1947, India gained independence. 3 years later, Mao Zedong's Communist Party took full control of China. Both nations were starting from absolute zero, devastated by colonization, exploitation, and war. For 3 decades, neither country makes significant economic progress. By 1980, their GDP per capita lines are identical, flat at $200. But watch as we roll the timeline forward. China's economy shoots up exponentially while India's growth takes much longer to gain traction. What caused this massive gap? It wasn't about deep cultural differences, luck, or innate intelligence. That divergence is the direct result of specific calculated political decisions. Choices that over decades triggered a compounding chain reaction of wealth generation. The shift started in 1978 under Chinese leader Deng Xiaoping. He completely dismantled collective farming overnight. Farmers were suddenly permitted to sell their surplus crops for a profit, and within 5 years, rural incomes doubled. Next, the state established special economic zones along the coast. They invited foreign companies to come in, build factories, utilize the massive pool of low-wage labor, and export those goods globally with minimal friction. While China opened its doors, India maintained a system known as the license rash. If an Indian entrepreneur wanted to open a factory, expand production, or even import much, they needed government approval. The bureaucracy effectively strangled private enterprise. To actually make those coastal economic zones work, China realized they needed a way to move materials and finished goods to the ports quickly and cheaply. So, they built. Between 1990 and 2010, China laid down more highways than the United States built during the entire 20th century. Because one party controlled the state, land was acquired and entire villages were relocated without debate. In India, as the world's largest democracy, couldn't move like that. Vital land acquisition projects were frequently tied up for decades by environmental protests, court challenges, and shifting coalition politics. In the brutal early stages of economic development, the sheer speed of executing an imperfect plan provides a massive structural advantage over waiting to reach a democratic consensus. China then deliberately positioned itself as the factory of the world. The state kept its currency artificial, low to make exports cheaper for foreign buyers, and heavily subsidized industrial energy engaged. They also engineered what economists call effects. As you can see on this map, they dedicated entire cities to single product categories. One city focuses entirely on electronics, another on zippers. When suppliers, manufacturers, and logistics cluster together, production costs plummet. By funneling hundreds of millions of low-skilled agricultural workers into these concentrated factory hubs, China executed the largest poverty reduction in human history. 800 million people climbed into the middle class through manufacturing wages. India focused heavily on services and did brilliant sector that created world-class engineering hubs. But software doesn't employ millions of uneducated rural laborers. A massive segment of the population was simply left behind. To ensure those factories ran efficiently, China simultaneously built thousands of technical schools. They pumped out millions of engineers trained specifically to optimize the production lines and manage the industrial machinery. At the same time, the controversial one-child policy had a striking economic side effect. With smaller families, parents concentrated all their available resources into the healthcare, nutrition, and education of a single child, drastically raising the overall quality of human capital. It was a tightly closed loop. Massive infrastructure attracted global factories. Those factories created insatiable demand for labor, and the state ensured that labor pool was healthy, educated, and perfectly aligned with the industrial machine. But the easy gains from cheap manufacturing are gone. Today, China's economic engine is sputtering under the weight of rising wages, massive internal debt, and escalating geopolitical tensions. And as this population pyramid shows, the one-child policy contained a fatal long-term flaw. That massive youth bulge from the 1980s is now aging out of the workforce, leaving a narrow, unsustainable base of young workers to support them. Facing those structural risks and rising costs, global supply chains are actively searching for the exit. looking to diversify their manufacturing base away from Chinese soil. This is exactly where India holds a massive advantage. India has a demographic dividend, a young, rapidly growing workforce that is perfectly timed to absorb the global demand for new manufacturing hubs. The Indian government is aggressively targeting this opportunity through new policies like production-linked incentives. They are paying global corporations to finally build the physical factory base the country missed out on 40 years ago. And while India's democratic foundations made early development painfully slow, those same democratic institutions now offer the long-term legal and political stability that global investors are desperate for. The economic fates of nations, businesses, and individuals are never predetermined by destiny. Winning comes down to making calculated strategic choices and executing them relentlessly over decades until the results compound.